Alright guys, what is going on? Welcome back. It's been a while since I've posted here on YouTube. And before we continue, I just want to say that I apologize in advance for the loud car that I'm in. This Mitsubishi is old, loud, and clunky, but it is what it is. I'm sure you can probably hear my air conditioning running too. It's hotter than hell here. But to get on with the message, folks, I don't have an anger problem per se. I don't. Contrary to what some people believe. I do, however, have a stupidity problem. I do my best to deal with the mass weight of stupidity here in this world, but sometimes it really gets to me. And it really got to me this morning after someone badgered me for about 10 minutes straight, and I ended up, I don't want to say I exploded, but I ended up giving this individual a piece of my mind. And, you know, sometimes you guys, what will happen is people will say certain things to me or demonstrate certain behavioral characteristics that don't set me off per se, but it creates like this domino effect where I take all of the suppressed understanding of the condition of the world and how hypnotized people are and just yada yada yada. Sometimes certain things or people will say certain things or do certain things, and it just unplugs the plug in the sink, and everything I've been holding on to just drains out. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And it's not like I have a lot bottled up, folks, but I am hyper conscious of what's going on here in this world, much more so than the average person. And sometimes that takes its toll. I've said it once and I'll say it again. Being conscious is like a full-time job. Once you go into the abyss far enough, folks, you can never really come back out of it. You can come out of it, but you'll never be the same. Once you go into the abyss, you will forever be changed by it. And it's not that it's a bad thing, folks, but once you become conscious of the truth, there's no going back. Kansas went bye-bye. This is what falling down the rabbit hole is like, ladies and gentlemen. And it's even hyper compounded when it's in tandem with a Kundalini Awakening. A Kundalini Awakening will literally take you into the abyss so that you can be reduced beyond zero and build yourself back into a sane individual. Because, folks, let's face it, we're an insane species. We've gone mad. We've gone insane. Everybody wants to sugarcoat it, though. Everybody wants to act like, oh, this is all part of God's divine plan, and, you know, just ignore the bad, just keep living your truth, and all these other, like, rehashed memes and just nonsensical cultural trends. It makes me sick. Unlike many people who embrace spirituality to just inflate themselves with this phony false sense of positivity, my spirituality is seeking truth at whatever price it costs, regardless of the consequences. I want to know what has been hidden from me. And folks, the real diehard things, the hardcore things that have been hidden from you, when you go and discover them, you're forever changed. Kundalini being the pinnacle of this, the spearhead. There is no going back once you consume the apple of Eden, once you take the red pill. Once the serpents rise up the spine and illuminate your brain, and it turns the light bulb on. Once your pituitary and pineal pathways open up, the king and the queen's chamber, once the dura mater and the pia mater and the cerebellum and the neocortex, the limbic system, the brainstem, the frontal lobes, the occipital lobes, etc. Once all of this stuff is blessed in the ocean of ecstasy that is Kundalini, once your brain actually turns on for once, because we use about 1% of our brain and all of our organs. Once everything turns on, folks, you become radically different than the world around you. Your energetic configuration changes on a fundamental level. You become like opposing magnets with the world and its people, instead of magnets that suck themselves together. Does that make sense? Becoming truly conscious does not come without a price to pay. becoming conscious does not come without a price to pay. And the people who want to tell me that, what are you talking about, bro? I'm conscious, man. I'm sane. You know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm conscious. I don't think you've ever really had a Kundalini awakening. Just not to be a dick, but I don't think you ever have. Because it shows on an energetic level. False positivity does not equate to being conscious. Shuffling tarot cards and hoarding crystals does not equate to being conscious, folks. Smudging sage in your apartment does not equate to you being conscious. Purification baths, although powerful and deeply cleansing if done properly, do not equate to being conscious. You see, the tools that you use in your craft do not mean that you have achieved a state of gnosis. So, Kundalini, ladies and gentlemen, is gnosis, enlightenment, nirvana, Devikut, whatever you want to call it. Christ consciousness, samadhi. Samadhi is actually different than Kundalini, but that's besides the point. I'm trying to paint a picture here. So people want to say, but dude, when you become enlightened, you experience non-causal state, you experience joy and ecstasy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's true. That is true. But experiencing those states of consciousness, folks, is highly disorienting. To witness the glory, to experience the glory of the heavenly kingdoms that you go into when you're in a state of Kundalini. It can drive a sane person by the system standards totally insane. The beauty of the angelic kingdoms, the beauty, ladies and gentlemen, of the rainbow realm, the beauty of the realm of the ladder of lights can drive a sane man into utter madness. Yes, beautiful things like this can disorient your mind once the Kundalini wears off and you come back down into the Matrix. A perfect analogy to this is the actual Matrix film. What happens to Neo when he finally takes the red pill? Is he just happy afterwards? Is he just all peachy, lovey, creamy? No, there's a detrimental blow that is inflicted on his ego. His ego was dissolved. That is the escaping of the Matrix. The Matrix film was a story of the transmogrification process of Kundalini. It is a Gnostic gem of a film, primarily the first one. Watch the first Matrix film. Watch all the scenes. Watch the scene where him and Trinity are driving down the road and he looks at like that old noodle house, I think it was. Watch the scene that ensues where he talks about, I used to think this was so real. I used to eat there all the time. He is saying it in shock, but he's also regretting that all of that invested time is false. He's now living in the real world. The real world is the hyper-illuminated consciousness of Kundalini. That's what God designed us to experience. That's what we are designed to be, folks. We're not in that. When you experience those states of consciousness, Christ consciousness, and the Kundalini illuminates your brain and you get your nimbus and you're in your chariot. When you see the seraphim, when you see the angelic kingdoms, when you can actually pierce through the electromagnetic spectrum and witness the crystalline beauty of the sacred geometry holding everything in this material realm together, it's much like when Neo first sees the Matrix code, folks. We're in a realm of energy and it's all encoded in certain angelic alphabet sequences in mathematics. That's besides the point. The Matrix code is real. It doesn't look like the Matrix code, but it's a real analogy in that film. Where the fuck was I going with that, folks? Excuse me, I lost my train of thought. But watch those films, let's just put it that way. Because those films are portraying hardcore Gnostic truths. Folks, when you witness these states of consciousness, I think that's what I was going at, or rambling about, there's no going back. The Kundalini reduces you beyond zero, it takes you into the abyss, and then through that there's a purging process and a sanctification process by way of transmogrification. I've experienced it. I don't know anyone else who has, and that's not an egotistical thing, but I can tell when someone has experienced Kundalini and hasn't by the way that they talk about the experience. Kundalini is a realm that is uncharted on maps. It is a completely new world. It is an alien dimension that we are supposed to be in. And Kundalini is a different dimension. It's a expansion of the perception. You access more of the electromagnetic spectrum that you cannot access right now because you're in a perpetual state of suspended hypnosis without even knowing it. You can only experience small fractions of the entire electromagnetic spectrum because your brain's been turned off. Your rods and cones in your eyes, etc. This is the real brain mind control, the real hypnosis. But we're designed, ladies and gentlemen, to be completely accessing completely massive amounts of information, hyperdimensional information that we are not accessing anymore. And this is how we've been turned into a slave species. We're existing, but we're not living. Because living, ladies and gentlemen, is getting all that life has to offer, or accessing as much of this experience, this divine gift of life that we have, experiencing the most that we can. We're not doing that. We're existing. We're burning the candle at both ends, folks. Undeniably. Non-negotiable. It's just the 100% truth. So the real path of the warrior is one of resistance, folks. Once you become truly conscious, life doesn't necessarily get easier for you. It gets more difficult, but the thrill that comes with the enhanced difficulty of life is mind-blowingly beautiful, because now you have something to fight for, ladies and gentlemen. You're now fighting for something that means something. You're not just fighting for something to make ends meet, to just get through the day. Do you know how many people I know are so bored with their life? I feel very bad for them. There are so many people that are so absolutely bored. And I know this because I talk to a lot of people. A lot of people that I communicate with have the same schedule every day. And they've fallen into like a grind where it almost operates on autopilot. Like they're not even in control of their own body and mind. We've been body snatched, folks. We've been fucking body snatched. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not just being exaggerative with my words. We've been fucking body snatched, and we've been soul snatched. So everybody who approaches, just to dovetail this in, spirituality, the New Age movement with all its false fucking positivity and lovey-dovey bullshit, they think that, oh, I'm conscious now. I have a tarot deck, and I use my oracle cards, and, you know, I smudge my house, and I've decided to be a more positive person. Everything's going so good for me now. No. That has its expiration date, folks. When the novelty of that wears off, life is the same. And how would I explain this? Becoming conscious truly, awakening the Kundalini, accessing the ladder of lights, etc., entering the promised land, entering into the heavenly realms by way of Christ consciousness through Kundalini rising up the cerebral spinal system up to Sushumna. This turns you into the cosmic warrior. We are stuck in this, ladies and gentlemen. There is a new world order beast system here that is using humanity as a genetic experiment. We've been forced and domesticated, or we've been forced into a false world and we've been domesticated. Now, I know it's fun to be able to do, get in your car and go to the gas station and get your cigarettes. I know it's fun to be able to buy new shoes and kind of play around with the little gadgetry in the Matrix and this, that, and the other. But ladies and gentlemen, although there's some fun in it, and I'm not going to lie, I play with it too. It's not our innate design. It's against our genetic code, our genome. We are supposed to be hyper-connected to nature through shamanism, the ingestion of entheogenic compounds, psychedelic compounds. These are the real vaccinations, ladies and gentlemen, because they purge the soul. We're not doing this anymore. They've made them illegal. They've made the real medicines illegal and put them on a smear campaign through propaganda. And they've made the nasty shit that kills you slowly, sometimes quickly, fucking legal. Folks, you can go and you can have a bag of psilocybin mushrooms in your pocket in some states and be locked up for over a year. In some states, you can get caught with marijuana and be locked up for over a year. A plant. The ridiculousness of that. But I can go to the store and buy as much alcohol as I want? What do you tell me? What's more dangerous? Someone with some pot, some cannabis, some marijuana, some grass, or someone with a truckload or a trunk load of fucking hard liquor? You mean to tell me that someone who smokes pot or takes mushrooms is more dangerous than someone who drinks alcohol? Please. Please. Enough's enough. Everything's been flipped upside down, and the way that people just buy into these cultural memes and thought forms. The news told me that someone took acid and jumped out of a window. We got to make it illegal. We got to do this. Oh my God, it eats holes in your brain. Remember those commercials where they showed the fried egg? This is your brain on drugs. Well, have they ever showed what someone's brain looks like on OxyContin? Have they ever showed what someone's brain looks like on fucking Xanax, clonazepam, Klonopin, you name it? Ativan, all the benzodiazepines? Have they ever showed someone, or have they ever showed the public what someone's brain looks like after a year of chronic drinking? Have they ever showed what someone's lungs look like after 2 years of chronic smoking? Or what someone's gums look like after chronic use of smokeless tobacco? Oh, that's right. No. Sure, they have their little propaganda with the cigarette stuff, but it's all fucking bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. The cigarette commercials, this, that, and the other. The quit smoking commercials. It's also mamby-pamby. They never show you, again, what someone's lungs look like, or not lungs, liver looks like on a commercial. After chronic use of alcohol ingestion, they don't do that. No, it's always the stuff that actually is effective. That's the bad stuff, right? The effective stuff. Because God forbid, curious human beings, ladies and gentlemen, tamper with and play with the magical food of the gods that nature grows for us. The San Pedro. The, Lophalora williamsii? Mescaline? I'm not telling anybody to use these. I'm just being honest with you. It's always the stuff that produces incredible results and changes people's lives for the better. That's the illegal stuff, right? And sure, there's people who do stupid shit when they take hallucinogenics, etc., but it all comes down to set and setting. You take a bunch of mushrooms and go to a party or a rave, not the smartest idea if you're trying to look into your own soul and discover who you are and connect back to the omnisphere, nature, you name it. To connect back to the Kundalini. It's always the stuff that's good for you that gets demonized. And the way, again, you guys, it just blows my mind that people cling on to these things. Look at that, Tommy. Look at that, little Timmy. They're saying that your brain is like a fried egg on drugs. Yeah, it's probably true, Dad. Fucking potheads. They sit around a table and eat fast food and are on multiple prescriptions, Ritalin, you name it. Do you not see the absolute ludicrous nature of reality right now, you guys? Everything's being flipped upside down. And most people, 99.99999% of the people that I come into contact with every day or just observe, have massive amounts of the New World Order mind control in them. The hypnosis, they are not accessing more of the electromagnetic spectrum. They're stuck in an energetic rut that is continual. It is the same. It's constant. It's continual again. And anytime information that opposes their worldview comes into their sphere of influence, they automatically fall back on safety mechanisms that have been conditioned in them through their programming that cause them to revert back to the old gear that they were in of mind control, even though they're actually capable at the end of the day of shifting gears. This is how the wheels continue spinning. This is mind control, folks. Do you not see what's going on here? Humanity is being experimented on. We are subliminally, controlled. We are physically dominated through money. It's madness. There's so many different layers to the mind control. We only access what I call the front of the mind. Behind the front of the mind, there's a curtain, and there's all this data behind it that we're not in contact with. This is how we're mind controlled. Kundalini rips that curtain off. It rips it. It destroys it. Kundalini destroys to rebuild. It's tough love. It's such tough love that the average mamby-pamby conditioned narcissistic egotistical individual in this matrix who's been programmed by culture, if they were to experience it, they'd be driven into utter madness. And that's why Kundalini is considered evil by the uneducated and the inexperienced. Oh, it's demonic. Why? Because it made you uncomfortable. It showed you a little taste of reality. It took you out of your comfort zone. It took you out of your comfort bubble and allowed you to see past the veil. I don't think Kundalini's evil, folks. In fact, I know it isn't. You're just afraid of what's beyond that curtain. You're afraid of what's in the abyss. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the abyss is here. It's a part of us. It's a part of this existence. We have got to look into the depths so that we can rediscover ourselves, because we aren't innocent, folks. I hope that makes sense. We are not innocent. We have an integral role to play in all of this. We've all adopted aspects of culture that are against our natural design, which is nature. We need to merge the most beneficial aspects of technology with nature, with shamanism, a shamanic science. Because not all technology is bad at all, but they're suppressing all the good shit, ladies and gentlemen, just like they're suppressing all the natural remedies that are powerful. Not just the psychedelic ones, not just the research chemicals that have promising effects on God. No, I'm not going to get into that, but guys, they're making everything seem bad. They're making everything that's good seem bad, and they're making everything that's bad seem good. It's an inversion. It's an upside down world. Do you not see that? It is. It's an upside down world. It's a perfect analogy. Isn't that from Stranger Things, the upside down? It's like an alternate universe that we're in. And the key to navigating through the waters of the underworld, folks, the material realm, the matrix, the Maya, the key to navigating this dimension with dignity and honor, in intelligence, is to always remain a stable unit, an isolated stable unit in an ocean of constantly changing energy, regardless of how culture changes, regardless of how mad the world becomes, regardless of the sheer lunacy plastered around me everywhere I look. I stay centered in my own self, and I do not change. I keep a high, strict moral code, ladies and gentlemen. And it seems kind of dickish to some people, but I run a tight ship. I don't have time for the nonsense. I like to compare it to being a lighthouse in the middle of a chaotic, tempestuous ocean. Regardless of the waves that crash against the lighthouse, it sticks straight up. It stays erect. And at the top of the lighthouse, regardless of the ocean, smacking up against it at all hours of the day, and the wind hitting it, the elements hitting it, you name it, pushing it in either direction. At the top of that stationary lighthouse, folks, fixed in the middle of the chaotic ocean, there's a light that emanates and spins in all direction and helps others get on track. We have all got to become the stationary lighthouse in this ocean of uncertainty. You want to build your warrior shield? You want to move forward with honor and courage? You stay stationary in this matrix. You keep your eyes on the goal. What is the goal? Lucidity. To be sane. Because culture is driving people into utter insanity. The mind control is driving people into utter insanity, folks. Unless you want to be sucked into this beast system like a giant fucking thing of water and garbage being sucked down a garbage disposal, you better stay stationary. You better work on your strength. And strength is not just related to your diet and your exercise program. It's integral. I'm talking about mental strength. Staying sane in an insane world and holding on to your values and not giving them in or forfeiting them just to fit in or just to make the moment more fucking, not satiating. What's the word I'm looking for? Just sacrificing yourself to make the moment easier. Merging with the mass weight of the mind-controlled masses so that it's easier for me. No, the true path of the warrior is one of resistance. It's not easy. It's a challenge. We have got to get back on track. The New Age movement is a psyop. It's bullshit. It's poison. I've been saying this since before this channel was even erected. I've been saying this since I was 20 years old or longer. The New Age world, the New Age movement is a deception. It's a lie. It's a fucking spiritual comfort system to act as a temporary life vest so that you can feel better. That's all it is. And there's nothing wrong with feeling better, folks. But shuffling tarot cards, using crystals, not that all crystals are bad, they can be very effective, but they're tools. They're not the sum total of our changing or of us becoming conscious. Folks, let me just get away from that because I'm going to go off on some huge tangent if I don't step away from that. I think you catch my drift. I hope you catch my drift. The New Age movement has become a spiritual life preserver of sorts, guys. It's become a life preserver that we cling to. And it makes us feel like we've discovered something. All these books on like angel numbers and all this stuff, guys, I'm here to tell you that it's a distraction. Again, the sum total of our growth is not from these angel cards and all this oracle shit. They never tell you what you don't want to hear. And that's how you know you're dealing with a rat. True growth comes from you being exposed to your flaws and changing them. True growth comes from acknowledging the hardcore reality or nature of reality and using it as a mirror to change the qualities of yourself that may mirror the qualities that you don't like. Only then, and only then, did I say that twice? Then and only then is what I meant to say. Will we grow? Because we have got to become stationary units of energy in this ocean of chaos or chaotic energy. Once we become stationary, once we fundamentally change ourselves from the ground up on a subatomic level to a spiritual level to a mental level, then, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be able to radiate the truth. And the truth is not this mamby-pamby, tell everybody what they want to hear bullshit, contrary to what everyone in the New Age movement and all these bought-out psychics are telling you. Being conscious, being on the warrior's path also doesn't mean being a dick. And I hope I don't come off as being a dick. But guys, I've got a lot on my mind. This message comes from pure love. We have got to reach out to people and try to inspire them and to help them. My message comes from a state of pure love. Do I deliver it the best, as loving as I probably should? No. But guys, sometimes I feel very justified getting behind this camera, getting behind this microphone and letting off some steam in hopes of these videos inspiring people, because most people respect when they're told things they don't want to hear. They may not acknowledge it consciously, but unconsciously they're like, wait, this dude's telling me the truth. There's something about what he's saying or she's saying that I'm attracted to because I want to purge the qualities that I know are within me that need to change. The true path of spirituality, folks, is transmogrification by way of transmutation. Transmogrification by way of transmutation. To transmute something is to take it from one state and to purify it into something better. This is the basis of fundamental alchemy, the ethos of alchemy, transmutation. Transmogrification, which is different than transmutation, is a magical transformation that takes place. This is also part of alchemy. But this gets into the more esoteric branches of alchemy, not necessarily the practical alchemy. Transmogrification takes place by way of transmutation. And transmutation, ladies and gentlemen, starts with you changing who you are on a fundamental level. It starts with diet. It starts with the water you drink, the things you put into your system and onto your skin. Like the practical level is where we start. We start in the practical because that's the most practical solution to the biggest problems. We go to the practical parts first. We don't build a house from the top down. We lay the foundation first. But before we lay the foundation, folks, we've got to level the ground out. We've got to get the inspectors to come out. I'm speaking in metaphors. And I hope it makes sense. I hope it makes sense. So I don't mean to bash on the New Age movement, guys, but it's a lie to a large extent. We have people driving around seeing numbers on like license plates, and then they look up, what does 77 mean? Oh, it says here on Google that 77 means that Archangel Michael's following me around. Guys, that's mental illness. I'm sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you think that that's just how it works? You see 777 or 333, and the first Google link that you see is the truth. It's a message from Archangel Michael. Ladies and gentlemen, real angels are not what you think they are. And angels are real. Angels don't deliver messages through numbers. Your subconscious mind can, however, and I'm here to tell you that a lot of the number pattern repeating that you're seeing is what's known as a syncing, a subconscious syncing. On top of that, it's also often a warning, and no one's telling people that. No one's ever saying that. It's a warning to change, that something's wrong in your life. It's not always about fucking love and light, guys. Love is often delivered through tough love. How have we missed this? But it's all the number repeating can also be a syncing. S-Y-N-C-I-N-G, not S-I-N-K-I-N-G. Kind of like how when you get a new car, you guys, you start to see them everywhere. You start to see the same model. It's because you see something that you develop an attachment for, and you go out looking for it. And because there's a strong attachment to repeating numbers like 1111 or 333, it creates an etching, if you will, subconsciously that syncs with your I was going to say biometric, but it syncs with your electromagnetic field and your timing in your body and your physiology, and it repeats. Does that make sense? It's kind of like an etch mark in a CD. If you scratch it, when the music plays over it, it'll skip every time. So, I mean, we've got nations of grown people driving around the Matrix, seeing like numbers on license plates, and thinking that they've like discovered. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to fucking get into it right now. So, unfortunately, guys, I've got to get going because I just saw someone on the road and they're trying to get my attention. So I'm going to have to stop and say what's up. I love you all. It's good to be back here on YouTube, and I hope you all stay well. I'm going to keep posting here. I'm just not doing it as much. Check out my Instagram. Check out my BitChute. Links are in the description box below. And never give in to the New World Order scum that is nothing but dirt beneath our feet. Peace be with you.